We all know about speedrunning games. It's something that's been a trend lately, and a lot of people speedrun a lot of games nowadays. Just think about Minecraft for a second. It's a game that's been out for more than a decade at this point, and yet this game is only now, or at least in the recent years, has seen an explosion in popularity because of speedruns. And it is, when you think about it, logical. People are interested in knowing how fast someone can complete a game. But what does this have to do with Crash of Cars, which is an IO style game? Now, an IO style game basically means that the game isn't really meant to have an end. It is a constant stream of new players getting crowns, those same players getting destroyed, and someone else taking those crowns and making another high score. Theoretically, there shouldn't be an end to Crash of Cars, because no matter what happens, after you die, someone else will be the leader on the leaderboard. But maybe there is a way to quantify that, and there is maybe a way to make Crash of Cars a speedrunnable game. Today's video is going to outline the solution which I'm going to offer as to how Crash of Cars can be a speedrunnable game. Now, I'm not forcing this idea, I'm just giving out a suggestion, because when you think about it, the potential is right there. People can easily start doing this, and we might see some very interesting things. But there should also obviously be boundaries, because this system can easily be exploited, but not because it's been poorly thought out, but because of the flaws that exist naturally. So let's start with how Crash of Cars can be speedrunned. Now, as you know, Crash of Cars is an IO style game. You collect crowns and you try and get a high score. This isn't a problem. But the problem is, because this game doesn't have an end, there isn't really a max high score. So, what should players do? How can this be speedrunned? Well, I want to introduce certain high scores. Let's say 100 crowns. The fastest player to reach 100 crowns. It's very simple enough, but it's very effective as well. When you think about it, 100 crowns is something that a lot of people can reach, and it's not too far-fetched of an idea. See, the thing about speedruns is, mostly anyone can do them, but only the best will be able to execute them in the fastest time possible. So, reaching a certain high score definitely sounds like it should be the speedrunning standard for Crash of Cars, for multiple reasons. Number 1, considering Crash of Cars doesn't really have an end, it is logical that the end for a speedrun should be just one of many ends that can be achieved. Those ends being obviously a certain high score, but not a theoretical max high score. And the second thing is, there can be multiple speedruns, because you don't have to stop at 100 crowns. You can obviously speedrun for 200 crowns. And obviously, with many games, there are multiple subcategories for speedruns. Places which are not really the main speedrun, but are still a category in which you can try and excel in. So for example, reaching 100 crowns without taking damage. There is a badge for it, but how fast can someone do it? Now, obviously, this may sound like an inefficient idea, for the main reason being that essentially only one strategy will be useful for this. Or, to put it simply, players will start using few and few cars once they figure out what works best. But think about it, that's how all speedruns work. Once players figure out the fastest solution, that's what everyone sticks to, because it's the most reliable and most trusted way to complete a speedrun. So, that puts into question, how would this work? Well, let's first start off with the fact that this will not work in multiplayer, for many reasons. First of all, let's just say someone is speedrunning the game. They go on a multiplayer server and they start the speedrun. Now, during this multiplayer server, there are a few players already who have been playing for a while, and they've all amassed double-digit crowns. Now, what if they knew that this person was speedrunning, and all those players either self-destruct or somehow die, and as a result, the speedrunner gets to collect all their crowns, being able to reach a speedrun in incredibly fast times. This is an issue, and it shouldn't happen. And this is why one of the solutions is to play in offline mode only. And it does make sense. A lot of games do speedruns only in single player modes because it is reliable. It really is you against the machine. Or in this case, the time really, but the machine there is the only challenge and the only thing that's keeping you from a perfect time. But obviously, there are a few other things that should be noted. If anyone is posting speedruns, there should be a way to legitimate the speedruns or verify them. Verifying speedruns is something which is taken very seriously. Without moderators properly overlooking the speedrunning process, there can easily be cheaters who exploit the system and claim untrue world records. So, how could players prove their speedruns? Well, one of the suggestions is obviously to record the whole process. And that is, record the whole speedrun from the moment you press play game. Now, another thing popped up. There are obviously many different maps in the game. So, how would speedruns work based on all of these maps? Well, remember how I said that once one method is found to be the fastest, most players stick to that? Well, there can be rather two methods, or at least two speedrun categories. Well, the first speedrun category will be for the overall fastest speedrun. That is, who finds the fastest, most efficient map to attempt a speedrun on. But the second method would be who will be able to make a speedrun in any of the maps. So let's say desert turns out to be the most efficient map for speedrun. And I'm not saying this, I'm just saying if it were. Now, if someone were to try and speedrun on narrow, let's say, it wouldn't be as efficient as desert, but there would still be a speedrun for narrow. Now, you get my idea. I think it is very possible for speedruns to exist in Crash of Cars. But obviously, there are a few things that obviously have to be solved. The rules. There are obviously rules that need to take place. Now, thankfully, because of the nature of Crash of Cars, there shouldn't be too many rules. Once you're in the game, there aren't really many restrictions that have to take place, apart from being in single player mode, of course. But other than that, there shouldn't be any restrictions. You can use any car, any weapon modifiers, any map at that point, and all that's left is for you to play the game the best way you know, the fastest way. Now, I'm sure this is not something that is easy to be done, because in order to make this work, there needs to be a speedrunning community. And Crash of Cars just doesn't really have that at the moment. And also there need to be moderators. People overlook the process. And then again, that is sort of a byproduct of a speedrunning community. If a game has a potential and that potential is used, then moderators will appear to officiate the whole process. But until that thing doesn't happen, there won't be people who know exactly what to look for and how to verify a run. Now, obviously, you're probably wondering, if there aren't many restrictions, why would people exist to officiate? Well, anyone can splice a run. Anyone can combine footage. So that's one of the things that people should look out for. And at this point, all we can ask ourselves is, will this ever happen? Will there ever be a Crash of Cars speedrunning community? Well, it's tough to say. If you ask me, I would really want there to be such a thing. To be fair, Crash of Cars is already somewhat competitive. You do have the leaderboards, and obviously badges are a way to sort of measure competitiveness, or at least level some players. But a speedrunning community would be different. It's playing the game but with a different goal. Who is the fastest to reach a high score? I think this would be an even greater achievement than many others, considering that reaching those high scores is already difficult. And obviously there's a lot of potential here. Players can obviously optimize strategies, learn how to take advantage of single player gameplay, and use all of that to make great high scores. But I leave this up to you. What do you think? Do you want Crash of Cars to have a speedrunning community? And is it even possible? And last but not least, would you try and speedrun a certain high score on Crash of Cars? If you are interested, then obviously write in the comment section below, because if there are any other people who have an idea like mine, It would be really great to know. Who knows? Maybe one day we might actually get this, and maybe people will start speedrunning Crash's cars. And that's the video, guys. Make sure to comment, rate, and subscribe. Don't forget to watch my other videos, and I'll see you later. Peace.